Hi, I'm Empress Rose, and this is the Devil. Card number 15. It is addiction, being stuck, resistance, codependency. It's always a warning card. There are a variety of interpretations, a variety of possibilities, but when you see this card, it's always a warning. Tread carefully. Something is a little bit trickier than what you're thinking here. So when we're looking at our Kabbalah Tree of Life, the devil falls right here, right in between Tiferet and Hod. So again, this is like the harsher side of the Kabbalah. And we're approaching this tower moment, and we have all these different ways that we can approach or even pass through the tower moment. And the devil has the most difficult approach. It's because there is a refusal to change, a refusal to co-create, to admit that there's a to your creations, that there's this whole other universe you're working with. And there's some rigidity and some ego and some stuckness here. So it is considered a Capricorn card, very grounded, but grounded in a very stubborn way. I have lots of Capricorns in my family, so I'm very familiar with their stubborn nature. One of my favorite phrases that one of them has is, I'm flexible, and that absolutely means that this is the least flexible they have ever been. When you hear that announcement, I'm flexible, it's fine, you know exactly that that's not what they mean. They mean they're very inflexible and they're going to get their way, come hell or high water. So yeah, it is it's a really complex card with a lot of difficult energies associated with it. Rigid ego, the refusal to change, the refusal to adapt to changing situations around you. And I don't mean ego in a bad way. I think ego is really important. We see ego in the Magician and some of those earlier cards when we're making this statement to the universe, I exist, I'm here, I want to create, I have this power to make my visions as above, so below. I'm this conduit, this power. But when ego is a problem is when we have this really rigid self-definition where it's just like, this is who I am, or this is the project I'm going to make happen. Well, we're all going to hit this tower. We're all hitting this situation right here that changes everything, changes our self-definition. It's at the solar plexus. It's going to transform the way we see ourselves, the way we see our own empowerment. And this is the hardest way to hit some of those bigger transitions, is a refusal to be flexible, a refusal to redefine yourself, refusal to be flexible, to flow with life, to even negotiate with life, right? So in this card, we can be free. See, these chains are somewhat loose here. There's the possibility to free ourselves from whatever this is, be it addiction, be it a contract, or a relationship that's become very burdensome and very difficult, be it obsession. We can free ourselves, but it's going to take a huge amount of work. It kind of harkens back to the Strength card, where we're talking about inner strength and self-control. So that's what we can see here. And it can also be sort of some arrogance here, some pride here, as far as like, I know what I want, I know what I'm doing. And it can also show up as, I can quit whenever I want. I don't need help, I don't need assistance. There's also the temptation to define self and experience, and just that refusal to dance with life. And this can feel inescapable. So part of it is that we have this heart situation here. So our heart's changed, our heart knows, but we're over here, as we move over here, we're refusing to acknowledge that the heart knows. Nope, I was right up here. I was right when I did this, when I made these decisions all up here. I was right. This is the correct route to Arches National Park. This is the correct itinerary. And you know what? We're going to just drive through the night so we can get our Airbnb non-refundable visit here. So, and who cares if we get in a car accident because we're too tired? It's that kind of like rigidity of, I'm going to stay on course, even though my heart is starting to understand and realize that maybe this isn't the best idea. So this is like a warning to listen to that internal situation going on. When your heart's like, you know what? This is like the 7th night in a row I've had, 5 drinks. Maybe I should Should I stop? No, I shouldn't stop. I would never have that problem. Not me, not my ego. No, we would never have a problem with that. We can stop whenever we want. You know, it really doesn't mean anything. So that's what this Devil card is. And it's often about something that's very easy to get into, but much more difficult to get out. Like, it's easy to sign a contract. It's very difficult to follow all the fine print when you want to get out of it. You know, it's very easy to have a couple drinks after work. It's normal, right? We have this culture where that's very normal. So, but you know, a couple years into that, it's a lot harder to stop having a drink every night after work. So, and there can be all sorts of things like that, obsessions, things we think about when we're stressed, and there can be an accidental vibe here. This is why this can come as a warning of like, hey, watch out, watch out. What you're doing here is actually maybe a little bit trickier than you think it is. So, and in the placement, we are approaching the tower. This is our last approach to the tower, and it's the worst way to approach the tower, of just an inflexibility. I will never change. Well, here comes the tower, and it's going to break you as well as apart your whole life too. You're not going to get away with this if you don't change. If you don't go back to temperance, where we might be negotiating a little more, or death, where we might just be submitting. And then we have the other ones where you just like the Wheel of Fortune, where you just kind of skip the whole heart thing, and you don't have to have feelings or change anything. You're just going to get a pretty big change in your life, a good change. So, and so then it comes. So yeah, the tower is the rock bottom crisis, and it comes after temperance, the last chance to have negotiated with something. So this is your last chance, and this is a warning card. So. Yeah, the chains are loose. You can break free, but it's going to take some work. Yeah. The worst of faith is fear. There's some part of this that harkens back to the Hierophant card, to church and religion, and it's sort of the worst part of religion, that part of fear, you know, the devil energy, the devil, where we're being told what to do out of fear. We're conducting our life out of fear here, right? This can also come in, it's very similar to the Lover's card as far as having two naked people standing here. But this is the part of the Lover's card where you don't go towards what you love, or you don't go towards what brings you alive, but you stay trapped in fear or habit or ego rigidity. So, and I mean that very much like the rigidity when ego becomes calcified and inflexible because of the calluses that we develop. So, yeah, that inflexibility. Here we have the devil from the Golden Tarot, and this is really relying on that religious imagery. There's even some religious writing up here. And like this, be afraid, be very afraid. So it does come in as a warning saying, hey, you might want to be a little more cautious in this situation. Fear might be not completely unreasonable here. At least listen to what your fears might be saying, at least consider them. But then it's also referencing how fear can keep us in place and keep us trapped, because this would be an image that the church would have used to tell people, if you don't do things our way, this is what's going to happen to you. So keeping people in fear. The book talks about it's time to confront your demons, and hell is our own creation, or at least the creation of those around us that want us to submit to their will. There's definitely a bit of an emperor vibe with this card in several different iterations of it, as far as the emperor always comes to me as a question of power and control. Who's in control? And this is like probably not you, and if you are, not for very long. You've got like some last minutes of control here to get yourself out of a situation before it all comes tumbling down. So so it has a little bit of emperor vibe to it, but it's very clear that you're not the one that's in control. And this can be a very accidental decision. Something seems appealing, something seems lovely, right? It also talks about temptation, being tempted into something. And, you know, it feels good. It feels right, but it's not really good for you in the long term. So, and then more about fear, you know, the devil is the father of lies, and fear is such a liar and can really keep us trapped in places where we're miserable and where we're not feeling good. And then it can also be fear of failure. So yeah, fear, addiction, resistance, being stuck. There's a lot of sort of meanings crammed into this devil card. But I think what it generally comes down to is a lack of freedom, and a lack of freedom, and something that's very difficult to get out of. So that would also be a lack of freedom. So, and then in the Matt Hughes deck, we have the devil card here, and this is very much Capricorn energy, very sort of grounded energy, and the look of pride on this devil's face of, there's miserable people here. They're very sad. They're very upset, but there's a lot of pride here. They're not going to change their ways. They know what they're doing. They're fine. They're fine. I mean, they very obviously don't look fine, but they do know what they're doing. So we have this prideful, sort of egotistical devil here, and maybe he's a little bit proud of how miserable he's made these people, but they're still trapped. They're still stuck here. So this one also reminds me of like they all remind me of the step 1 in a 12-step program, right? We're talking about addiction. Step 1 is understanding you're powerless to this force, be it fear, be it pride, be it rigid self-definition, be it a contract, addictions, and even some mental health issues, right? Because they're very difficult to get out of once you start moving towards like depression or anxiety. It can be really hard to pull yourself back from an anxiety attack once you get there, once that ball gets rolling, right? You can do it, but it's incredibly difficult and takes a lot of focus. So again, this card would be coming in as a warning. So usually, a lot of ways, I think I would like a clarifying card with this to get some sort of understanding, especially as a reader that's not you. If it's you, you're gonna like recognize, yes, it's the obsession. Okay, great. Or, oh yeah, I guess like I am afraid of failure, or I am something. Like, you'll know when it's you. And as a reader, especially with a general reading, it can be really difficult. So just a general card of warning. And then we have the Santa Muerte. This is very devilly looking, but this one has like musicians on it. They're playing here, and they're sort of being controlled by this muse here, and it talks about like just being bedeviled by something, or being controlled by a muse or something. But it talks about enjoying something, but being very careful with it, because there are strings attached, and there are, right, we're getting a very puppet master vibe here. A couple of them have puppet master vibes here. So enjoy this connection to the muse, enjoy this connection. It's saying, it's not wrong to have some drinks after work, but just be a little cautious with it, especially given your family history or your own personal history or whatever, or who you're having drinks with. Just be a little cautious, like enjoy yourself, but take care. Again, a warning card that you could be on the path to something very unpleasant and very difficult, but you can still get off of it pretty clearly here. So enjoy it, but do not let it control you. And then here again, we have the puppet master vibe coming in with the muse, right? These strings attached here. So not necessarily addiction, but feeling your own places of routine, rigidity, inflexibility, not able, like at first you're having a good time, right? Both of these have musicians. All of them having a good time at first, but then eventually we end up with feeling controlled and feeling stuck and trapped someplace. It's all fun and games until you want to stop, and then you find you can't. So this one, it can talk about a slippery slope, right? That's where we get the warning in, a slippery slope. I'm not a big fan of slippery slopes in general. In general, I think you can stop on that slope wherever you want. But it is a warning that this could be a little bit of a slippery slope. So, and then possibly the most beautiful devil card I've ever seen is in Mystical Moments here. There's a sense, like the fly agaric mushroom represented here by her outfit, I kind of feel like that should be some sort of enlightenment, some sort of realization or understanding the places where you're stuck. But I think it could also reference, in this case, self-delusion, right? And getting stuck of a spider's web, very easy to get into. You just fly around and there it is. very difficult to impossible to get out of. So I never want to say something's impossible, but this one's definitely saying, yeah, good luck with that. It looks so fun, right? We've got these little cherries. It looks so fun. I would definitely be tempted by this dress and this outfit for sure to do just about anything because it's so cute. But so there, and then this would be a warning that this is a trap. There's some allure, temptation, some stuckness, some enmeshment possibly, because this can also be a codependency card, as far as like needing other people to love you more than you need to follow your own path. So there's some sort of separation that this card creates between yourself and your higher self, right? We're not able to follow our intuition. We're not able to follow our divine instinct or our divine intuition because we have some sort of thing, earthly pleasure or earthly thing that's trapping us. So we don't want to be like way up here, right? We're meant to be conduits from the divine or from our dreams into reality and bring that into reality. So, but this is where reality might be pulling us a little bit down, or earthly delights or earthly pleasures might be interfering with our connection with the divine. We might be not able to move freely with those messages from the divine because we've been trapped in a web. We've gotten trapped somewhere, and this definitely represents, you know, some earthly pleasures that may have pulled our attention away from our divine purpose here. So, and then here we have in the ForHaxa the clipping of your own wings, or this is a little bit of the Little Mermaid vibe, right, where she loses her voice so she can walk. This would be, you know, clipping your own wings so that you can get something you want. So again, a reference to the loss of freedom and a reference to the temptation of getting something that you want, something that you really want, you might be a little obsessed with, to the extent where you're not paying attention to some of the ramifications of what the consequences are for you going with this. So again, about something being obsessed with something to the extent that you limit your own freedom. And you might be fine. You might be willing to do that at the beginning, but at some point you might regret this decision. So that's a lot of the Devil card too, is the potential to regret this decision. So again, trapped by earthly desires in the Apparition deck, we have this, you know, these deathly desires, these earthly desires, and being trapped by them and stuck by them and not being free. There's a way to, you know, be in a body. There's a way to deal with our earthly desires in a much more free way. But here we see one that's free and one that's free, and and then this whole collection of being trapped. So it's easy to get trapped in sort of pursuits of and addictions to like money and wealth more than what you. More than a thriving amount, a self-destructive amount of obsession there. Not the amount of money, but the amount of obsession with it, and just all sorts of issues. The body's great, but don't get too attached. Again, we've got the same message with these ones, like, yeah, have fun, but don't get trapped, right? Have fun. There's a way to access these earthly desires through in fun ways, but just understand that you can also get trapped in that. It does remind me of like the Odyssey and different places where they get trapped on their journey home. You know, they have this whole purpose. They have this whole journey they're going through, right? Trying to get home. They have this whole purpose, and yet they keep getting waylaid oftentimes by some very earthly desires and earthly pleasures, distracting them from their higher purpose, which is to arrive home. And to reconnect, right? We're talking about that connection with the divine, and this is anything that kind of interferes with that connection, to really follow your intuition and follow the directives from your guides and that kind of thing. So, the Odyssey, they're on this, you know, this journey to reconnect with their loved ones, reconnect with love, reconnect with home, reconnect with where they belong. But it's just all of these temptations coming in. Some of them willingly, some of them less willingly, all of these temptations coming in that interfere with their ability to connect with their loved ones or be where they belong. So, and then we have in the good tarot, it's just called temptation. Again, earthly delights, it's all fun and games till we can't stop, or till we pass out, or till some big disaster tower moment happens. So just being careful with these pleasures. They're important. They're an important part of our lives here. Ego, pleasure, all of that, super important. Really driving a lot of accomplishments and a lot of our dreams, and, you know, creating that willingness and that understanding that we're creating heaven on earth, that we're creating our dreams into reality, that we're that conduit. All very important, but don't let it get out of hand. That's all it's really saying. So, and then in the reversed, we have sort of this, it could be intentional evil, right? The devil card comes in as a warning, like, watch your step. You may be getting stuck and trapped here. You may be getting off your path here. So watch your step. So it can come in as a bit of a warning. And then the reverse could be like, oh no, this is intentional. Whatever awful thing is going on right now, or whoever's behaving horribly, it's on purpose. This is not an accidental addiction here. It could be keeping someone imprisoned. Again, there's intention there, not just an accidental, oops, went a bit too far with that one, which we all do. But it could also be release and healing and refinding your autonomy and reconnecting with your own sense of freedom and getting out of a difficult choice. And it can come in not as a warning, but in the reverse, it can be encouragement. You're on the right track. You know, you're doing this 12-step program. You're on the right track. You found a way to return to yourself, to return to your higher self. You found a way to do that. So difficult but healthy choices being made, and it can come in the reverse as an encouragement towards to keep doing that. So similar cards I think of as Five of Swords. No good options. It's going to be hard to get out of this. It's just going to be hard. It's not going to be easy to walk away from this. And then Eight of Swords, the self-trapping with your own thoughts and your own mind, saying, you know, I can't stop. I can't get out of this. A little different than the idea of like, I can quit whenever I want, but still, it's still a self-limiting belief of, I can't get out of this. I'm stuck here. So that can be a little bit of a vibe that comes in with the devil card as well. So I hope that was helpful for you. Thank you so much for joining me for this little talk about the devil.